Well, it's great to be here with all of you tonight. You see, this is me as a child. I know I was always going to be a salesman. I was talking to Jason earlier. He talked about always knowing he was going to get into the family business. I shared with him that in my case, I was raised by an overweight single mom that ran a diet center business, so I knew I wasn't destined to necessarily get into that business. But I want to take you back to a time where I was a little bit closer to your age. It was 1992, and finally, after 5 years, including a bunch of summer school, I graduated from the University of North Carolina. And I remember receiving my diploma from the chancellor. I'm standing on stage, looking at the diploma, and it said I earned a Bachelor's of Arts in Speech Communications. And it was sort of like my whole college career flashed before my eyes, and I thought, what does this piece of paper really represent? What is it that I intend to do with my life? You see, at that point in my life, I was convinced that I was destined for a career as a professional football player. So all my time and energy had gone into my sport, and I sort of lost sight of what life would be after I got out of college. So here I am, I'm 6'2", I'm 280 pounds. My skill set consists of a little more than the ability to read a linebacker blitz, and I'm forced to go out there in the workforce and find a job. Well, fortunately for me, I found my way into sales. I took my first job selling telephone equipment and voicemail systems, and it was really a great start for me because I was able to take all the aggressiveness, all the competitiveness, a lot of the things I learned in competitive sports, and I translated that to a hardcore business-to-business, winner-take-all sales environment. And I loved it. I really thrived on the competition. I really liked getting involved in the community, prospecting, networking, understanding how to develop leads, and really turned out to be a great start to my career. What made things interesting in the beginning is I still look like a football player. This is me with my friend Alex. I probably weighed about 300 pounds in that picture. So when you're 300 pounds and you're broke and you have to go out and buy business suits to go out into the workforce, it creates some challenges. Well, I found my way to a low-cost big and tall men's shop called Joe Sugar's. And every so often I'd head down to Joe's, I'd buy these funny looking big and tall men's suits, and I thought I was really rocking and looking great. And what made things even more interesting about my ensemble is underneath my business suits, I would actually wear garters. Now I see I'm getting some funny looks from people. They weren't garters in the traditional sense, but my best friend at the time had just gotten a job as a police officer. He convinced me that I should wear these garters underneath my business suit to keep my shirt tucked in. I guess at the time I thought it was a pretty good idea. Well, after a few months on the job, it became apparent that every so often I'd be charging in to close a deal, and one of those garters always seemed to pop loose at the most inopportune time. So at that point in my life, I took stock of what I was doing, what was going well, what was going poorly. And one thing I'm happy to report is I was able to lose the garters. For the last 27 years, I've been successful in keeping my shirt tucked in without them. But what also became apparent to me at that time was when I was out there selling, lots of times I thought I had the best product, maybe even the best price, but I wasn't getting the business. And what I quickly learned, and I've learned to this day, is all things being equal, people want to do business with people they like. Now, it's important that you're trusted and respected. You can't go out there and be a goofy, likable, sort of silly clown. But all things being equal, and even all things being not so equal, people like to do business with people they like. So for the last 27 years, I've become a student of how to be likable. First book I devoted myself to was How to Win Friends and Influence People by the late, great Dale Carnegie. I became a student of things like fundamentals in dealing with people, how to make people like you, how to get people to your way of thinking. I became a student of being likable. When you talk about building a brand, you talk about marketing, there's such a premium on being a likable person, somebody that's easy to do business with, as Dr. Khan was referring to earlier. It's important to be likable. So I made a career out of marketing myself as a likable person, going out in the community, meeting people. But then the key is after you meet somebody, you've got to then convert that introduction into a meaningful relationship. And that's sort of been the key to what I've done professionally. I've done a number of different things in my career, but the one thing that's carried with me every step of the way is relationships. Many of you have heard the adage, I'm sure most of you have heard the adage, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I think that's false. What I found in life is that there's plenty of people I know, plenty of people that know me, but it doesn't mean because we know each other, we're going to go out of our way to help each other. The real thing in life is to have real depth and meaning in those relationships. What I guess I'm saying in modern day terms is Facebook friends are worthless, and meaningful friendships are priceless. It's important to have depth and meaning in those relationships. I don't care if you've got thousands of Facebook friends or thousands of Instagram followers. If there's no depth or meaning there, your ability to have value from that person is pretty limited. So, I know this is a group mostly of freshmen. It'll become a different question as you get older, but what is the number one question that college students should be asking themselves right now? Number one question. Anybody have any thoughts? Yes, sir. What will I do later? Meaning, will I find a job? It's a reasonable question, but I would really challenge this group that there's a more important question that you should be asking yourself than will I find a job? The question is, what would I love to do that I'd be really good at? Doesn't that sound like a much better way to spend the next 40 or 50 years of your life? Something you love to do and are really good at, as opposed to just get a job? So what's going to allow you to do that? What's going to help you get from where you are now to something that's really robust and fulfilling and meaningful, as opposed to just going out and do the job? Well, what I found is the bridges relationships, or more aptly said, meaningful relationships that have depth, and meaningful relationships where people really go out of their way to help you. So what's your plan? Anybody here have a concrete plan for building meaningful relationships? How to expose yourself to people in the workforce so that when you graduate this fine university, you actually can go and find a robust, fulfilling career? Because that's really what I want to talk about today, is what I call the network to get work plan. It's pretty simple. You got to show up at the right places, you got to make a memorable impression, and you got to convert introductions into meaningful relationships. Here's some ideas on how to do it.
So give it one slide. Take a picture of that. That's powerful. Thank you.
So where do you guys need to show up? Call out. Where do you guys think you need to be showing up?
Job fairs.
Was that job fairs?
Yeah.
Job fairs? Great. Anybody else? Great.
Fast Friday events.
Fast Friday events. I'm assuming those are networking events on campus. Good. What else? Well, if you know what career field you want to go into, there's certainly industry-specific events you can go to. But here's a list of ideas. Local and regional alumni events, civic groups. Anybody here heard of Rotary or Kiwanis or Civic Bands or Optimist Group, Pessimist Group? There's all sorts of groups out there you can go to. There's all sorts of civic groups you can get involved in. There's trade shows, there's seminars, there's Chamber of Commerce events. There's an endless array of places you can go to network with people and meet people in the job force. If you don't know where to go, you've got professors and faculty and people here that can direct you where to go. But it's up to you guys to figure out where you need to show up. Then when you show up, you got to make a memorable impression. What's memorable about you guys? Well, I've got a friend named J.A. Dava. He lives in Columbus, Ohio. J.A. is a residential mortgage officer. He's a loan officer. So the people that are most important to JA are residential real estate. It's one of the biggest networking events in Columbus, Ohio that has literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of residential brokers that show up at this lunch meeting every single month. Well, he doesn't know everybody there, but JA made a strategic decision that for virtually every meeting he was going to go to, he was going to wear a bow tie. So month after month, bow tie, bow tie, bow tie, bow tie. He says, every so often, on purpose, I make sure I show up in a regular tie. Now, what happens on those days where J.A. shows up in the regular tie and he's walking his way through the buffet line? What do you think people say to him then?
Where's your bow tie?
Where's the bow tie? He says he needs more people on the days he doesn't wear bow ties because people approach him, they see him with bow ties for every single meeting, and that's how he establishes new relationships and cracks ice. It's up to you guys to think about meaningful ways you can create your own unique brand and be memorable in what you do. I've got a friend, Jeffrey Gittimer. He's got a coin card and a superhero business card. One way he sets himself apart. I met Ruby Ward. She's a manager at a travel agent in Charlotte, and she hands me her card, and that palm tree you see was actually a cutout. She used a hole punch made of a palm tree, so when you get her card, it's got a hole in it. And then she would take the palm tree confetti that she created, and when she mails her business card to people in a note, she puts all that confetti right there in the envelope with it. So she took her everyday normal corporate business card and did something unique with it to make her memorable and different. I love this article about a student that went to Davidson University. First day of class, they gave him a name tag. This guy, Steven, decided to wear the name tag every single day that he went to college for the next 4 years. Guy wears a name tag, he becomes a legend. Simple thing to set him apart. He'll probably be the most popular guy at his 50-year reunion. Everybody's remember the guy before the name tag. So my question to you guys, and my challenge to you guys is, what's memorable about you? What sets you apart? What makes you unique and different? Maybe it's having a positive attitude. Maybe it's wearing a unique lapel pin. I don't know what it is, but it's for you to figure out so you do something yourself that makes you memorable, that helps you stand out. And the third and final step is converting these introductions into meaningful relationships. It does you no good to go to these networking events or Fast Fridays or various civic events and meet people if you're not going to take those introductions and then do something meaningful to make sure that it becomes an embedded relationship. This is my friend Adam Farber with his wife. I met Adam when he was still in high school. He ended up going to the University of South Carolina. And Adam knew from a very early stage in his college career that he wanted to be a commercial real estate broker. I do commercial real estate as well. So I met Adam, gave him my card. All of a sudden, I started hearing from Adam on a regular basis. He connected to me via LinkedIn, he connected to me via Facebook, he took the time to send me a handwritten note. All those things made a great impression. But then on a regular basis, I started getting emails and texts from Adam where he would just pull me into his world. Here's what he got. Hey Andy, hiking in the Bavarian Alps for spring break, hope you're well, Adam. Hey Andy, enjoying the game, wish you were here, Adam. Enjoying fishing in Charleston, wish you were here, Adam. Well, what kind of impression do you think that made on me? Here's this young man, we met, made a great impression at the onset, and now every so often, he's helping keep what I call top of mind awareness. He's keeping TOMA by engaging me into the things he's doing in his life. Adam pulled me into his inner circle, not through something high tech, but through something high touch. That's how we built the relationship with me. It should come as no surprise. He's now on his way to becoming one of the most successful commercial real estate brokers in all of Charlotte, because Adam understands relationships. And that's really what it's all about. So how are you guys doing? How well are you doing in terms of meeting people and then creating value and engaging them and building that bridge between the introduction and something more meaningful? And if you're sitting there saying, well, Andy, this is hard, this is a lot of work. You're talking about I got to meet people, I got to follow up, I got to be unique. Well, here's the deal. When does an airplane work the hardest? When does an airplane work the hardest? Yes, sir. Taking off. That's right. This is where you guys are right now. You're at liftoff or takeoff. And here's the deal. If you don't rev your engines hard during this window of time, and this is the window of time where you as college students are much more likely to get access to people in the business world. People like me and Jason and others, we're anxious to meet college kids. The day you leave this place, here's somebody else calling me, bugging me, looking for something. But while you're here, I'd love to help you. So you're during a period of time called liftoff, and it's incumbent upon you to rev your engines now, or failure to do so means you might never get off the runway. Or you might get off the runway, but you might not have the trajectory to get to where you want to get. So I challenge you, rev your engines now. Rev them now. Lift off is work, but it's only for a short period of time, and you can change the trajectory of your life. Or you can choose not to work now, and you can spend the next 40 years doing something average, something that's really not that robust and exciting. The choice is yours. It's like I tell my kids, we all make choices and our choices make us. It's really that simple. I had the pleasure of meeting Kyle Maynard a few years ago. Kyle was born with no arms and no legs. Kyle had some choices to make. He had to decide what did he want to make of his life. He dedicated himself to taking what God-given gifts he had and making them better. He trained. He became a college wrestler. He decided that he wanted to climb Mount Kilimanjaro and get to the top. And guess what? He did. So here's the deal, gang. Kyle made it to the top of the mountain with the hand he was dealt. And my question is, can you? We all make choices and our choices make us. I hope you'll take this time in college now and you'll choose to rev your engines hard now. To build those relationships now, so when you get out of here, you can have a robust career and you can soar through life. I wish you good luck. Thank you.